Hello and welcome back to the What the Falk Podcast in association with Viper Goalkeeping. It's been a little while since we had a Sunderland special, but today's show is reserved for a very well-liked former number 9 who appeared almost 60 times for Sunderland in the Premier League. I'm delighted to say, welcome to the show, Frazier Campbell. How are you, mate? You well?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Pleasure to be here. I know I'm ignoring your messages for a while, but you know.
It's all right, we got there in the end. Got there in the end, mate. I'm not going to blame you for that. You're better to be off Instagram, trust me. Before we do obviously delve deep into your time at Sunderland, it's been a bit of a bizarre 6 or 7 months for everyone, let alone a footballer. How's it been getting back into competitive football but without fans?
Yeah, it's like a crazy, like I said, a crazy period that we've had to go through. And the worst thing or the most strange thing, like I said, is not having any fans there. It's like, it's a bit flat.
Yeah.
There's no atmosphere. There's no one shouting at you, giving you abuse, or no one getting behind you when you're doing well. So it is a strange feeling. It's just you, and you can actually hear your teammates. You hear everything that everybody says. So it feels a bit more like a training ground match than an actual competitive match. But that's what we've got to deal with at the minute. And you just got to get on with it. Just play football.
Yeah, so it's just life's an adjustment for everyone, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah.
I want to touch a little bit on your journey to Wearside, not too much because Sunderland's my main interest here. I'm not going to lie. But you were scouted by Man United when you were 10 years old. Obviously, you're from Huddersfield.
Yeah.
I've had a few former Man United players on here, like Wes Brown being one of the main ones. But what was that like as a 10-year-old, before you even a teenager, being picked up by potentially the world's biggest club, really?
Yeah, I don't think you quite, like I said, I was 10, you don't quite realise the magnitude of it. It's, Man United was my team that I supported then as well. So it was, it was extra special. But you don't, because like I said, you're 10 years old, you're not thinking, in 10 years' time, I can be, playing at Old Trafford or whatever. You're barely thinking you can barely remember what you had for breakfast, and you don't know what you're doing the day after. So it's, it was really nice to be associated with the club, even just with the training kit, with the badge on and stuff like that. But I don't think I really quite understood like the path that set me on, and it was a great start to a career. You're starting at the Europeans, probably Europe's biggest club at the time, and it was dream come true, really.
Absolutely. One of the many things that Man United do, and I've had I talk about old Man United players I've had on, one of them was Danny Higginbotham, obviously a generation before you, but he spoke to me about his time at Royal Antwerp. Your first real taste was at Royal Antwerp, and from an English fan's perspective, you're looking at Royal Antwerp as just a feeder club at Man United, but they're mental, passionate fans. You went there for a season, scored 20 goals. What kind of life lessons does being in a foreign country at like 17, 18 teach you?
Well, there was a lot, because I just turned 18. I'd only just passed my driving test. So for a start, I was driving in the UK for about a month, and then I was driving on the other side of the road. Just started driving. There was 4 of us living out there, so we're living on our own. Obviously there was Danny Simpson, Johnny Evans, both played for Sunderland. We're out there at the time, so there's loads of learning curves out there involved in men's football, competitive, and you touched on the fans there. They were wild. If you was winning the games, there was flares and everyone was happy. If you were losing, there was throwing rocks at the bus and stuff like that. So it was, there was a lot of experience out there, and I always look back with fond memories to my time in Antwerp.
I didn't realise you went with Johnny Evans, who is probably off the top of my head one of the best Sunderland defenders of my lifetime. So composed, like 18-year-old, and he looked like he was 42 years old. He had that level of experience. Does that kind of experience like shape you quite a bit then, more than you think so, and you don't realise till you're like 33 how much that shaped you then?
No, yeah, definitely. Like I said, my first taste of men's football, and up until that point, I was just playing reserve football and youth team games. And like I said, there's not much crowds there. There's a couple, 20, 30 people there watching, and you win a game, everyone's happy. But if you lose a game, there's, it's all parents. No one's kicking off and throwing rocks at you.
Yeah.
So go abroad, and it's a business. There's money on the line. People live and die. They're football clubs. They're coming to every game, away matches. It sets you up for that realization that people invest a lot in football, and what you do on a weekend can affect people's week or lives even. So it's important that you do what as best as you can every game, especially when there's thousands of people watching.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a Sunderland fan, so I can attest for that, mate.
Yeah.
You did go on loan to Hull as well, and I think Hull is where you probably first started getting really recognised, especially over in the UK. Looking through the squad, there was tons of experience and definitely characters there. You had Nick Barmby, who a few years previous playing in the 5-1 over Germany. Dean Windass, one of the best characters the game's ever seen. Michael Turner, obviously, who came to Sunderland later. Going to a team like Hull and playing in a promotion chase and playing such a big part alongside those characters, does that just enhance your experience that you had at Royal Antwerp like tenfold?
Yeah, exactly. Again, I think we finished just outside the playoffs in Antwerp, so that was disappointing. So then I went to Hull, and again, it was my first exposure in the UK leagues. Everyone's watching, Sky's there and stuff like that. So and like I said, I was 18 at the time.
Yeah.
They had people like Dean Windass, who was 38 or something like that. He'd been around here, there, and everywhere, scored goals. Like I said, he was a massive character. It was a proper old-fashioned like men's club gym room. So that was a new experience for me, and it was good. Like I said, character building. I think that's probably half the reason I play the way I play, because it was tough. You had to be rough. You had to be robust. You had to fight. You had to work hard, because if you didn't, the senior lads were all over you. There was no like picking your words. If you was having a bad game, you'd know about it, and not just games, training sessions. So it was a great experience, and obviously on top of playing with players like that, we had a great run. We started off, I think when I joined, there was like 16th or something in the league, and then ended up going all the way to Wembley and getting promotion into the Premier League for the very first time. So it was, that was again another remarkable year for myself, and it was a great start for my footballing career in the UK.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like I said before, it really enhanced your reputation to the point where I think you came back the season later, you played the first game and you scored in pre-season for Man United, and then go on to Spurs signing for Wandy Ramos. He's brought in and then sacked in October. Harry Redknapp takes over. He signs Defoe, he signs Robbie Keane. It's probably not a good sign for you, but you probably played, not the best. I won't say anything bad about Jermaine Defoe, though, to be fair, because he is kind of the equivalent of God, isn't he? But you probably played less than you like to, shall we say. So when it hit summer, you probably got I remember there was many rumours kicking about, and I think one of the big ones was, Hull were obviously looking to bring you in on a more permanent basis. Sunderland were in there. There's probably other people as well. But how many options did you have at that point?
I can't, off the top of my head, I just remember those two. There was other ones that were interested, but those were the main two. And I don't know if you knew, but the summer before when I went to Spurs on loan, I was sat with Steve Bruce, and he was the manager of Wigan then, and I was going on loan to Wigan until it was transfer deadline day, and then Sir Alex Ferguson rang me, told me that they're trying to buy Berbatov, and I had to go to Spurs. So I had to tell Steve, I was sat with, I can't go to Wigan on loan with you. So I had to go to Spurs. Anyway, the year after, when I was leaving Man United, Steve Bruce was at Sunderland then, and he was like, I'd love to take you up there. So in my mind, I was already set that I was going to Sunderland, because the massive club. He told me that the likes of Darren Bent and people like that would be coming through the doors, and it was an exciting project for me, to go up there and play in the Premier League with such a good squad of players, and have a good crack with it.
I think with Brucey, right, and I look from a Sunderland perspective, since he's left, he's probably been a bit more Marmite. When he was here, I think he was quite well supported, and I don't buy into the notion that we didn't like him because he was a Geordie. Never have, never will. But I think a lot of credit is maybe taken away from him sometimes, because been a few players that I've spoke to that said, he was such a big pull in coming towards Sunderland because of the way that he was. You'd obviously known him a year beforehand. He'd put the groundwork in. Sunderland are a huge club, I get that. But how big was Steve Bruce in bringing you to Sunderland then?
Well, yeah, like you said, Sunderland was a big pull in it, but he was as well, because obviously he was well spoken of from his Manchester United days. He knew what the Man United way was, and there was been a few players go there already. So it was over the years to Sunderland. So he was a big pull, and he was easy to talk to. You knew he was black and white. You knew exactly what you was getting from him. He wanted hard workers. If you're doing well, he'd praise you, give you days off, extra time in the spa kind of thing. But if you're doing terrible, he'd shout at you until these veins here on the side of his neck looked like about to explode. So yeah, it was a massive pull for me personally. I enjoyed my time working with him.
You think he's underrated, Steve Bruce?
Possibly, yeah. He's been around a long time managing, and if you're an awful manager, you fall away on the wayside like anyone. So yeah, I think he is a little bit. I think with the season that he did get the start, or maybe it was the season after, it was the 5-1 at Newcastle that seemed to just put the nail in the coffin. Really, it was, and no one was more hurt than he was around the place. But it's the way it went.
Yeah, it worked out in the end. I can't remember the last time they beat us, so that's always good. The squad that we built, I remember being really excited that summer, and I think you'll remember this slightly, but I sort of remember it as a fan. We finished 17th, and it was literally the fact that I think at the time Newcastle were just worse than us. I think, and they went down. That was basically it. It was just 3 bad teams. I think Hull struggled as well, and we were like the best of the worst, if that made sense, and just did it by the skin of our teeth because we barely won any games. But then the summer came and Brucey came in. You were the first signing, but Lee Cattermole, legend. Yeah. Darren Bent, hugely important signing. Lorik Sana, John Mensah, players you can just remember that were like good players for Sunderland, and it was exciting when they came in. So you came from a really strong Man United squad. You'd been playing up front with Rooney. You've got like Ronaldo in the squad. So you know what a good player looks like. But how much did the Sunderland squad impress you when you came in?
Well, I was at Spurs with Benty, so I already knew him. Mm-hmm. Lee Cattermole, I was played with him throughout the England youth setup.
Yeah.
Kieran Richardson, obviously I knew him. Anton Ferdinand, I'd seen him play. So there's a lot of players there that I already knew. I knew the capabilities of the squad. I think Phil Baz. Yeah, Phil Baz was there.
Was there. Yeah.
I knew a lot of the squad anyway, so it wasn't really a surprise. Sessegnon, I'd never seen him before. He was a really good player on his day. I was trying to think who else there was. Steed Malbranque, fantastic footballer. Yeah, I'd never had the chance to play closely with him before until obviously came to Sunderland, and he was brilliant. He'd give his all for 60, 70 minutes. He had to come off, but there was a lot of talent around the place. Craig Gordon as well. It's got record signing fee for a keeper at the time, I think it was. So yeah, there was abundance of potential in the squad. Like you said, we finished 17th that year, and I think the season after we finished 10th or something like that.
Yeah, he got us to, I think it was either 17th, and then when Brucey took over, 13th, and then 10th. So he did sort of flip it a little bit.
It felt like it was going, in the right direction. You was progressing a little bit every year. Squad was staying similar each season, and hopefully you'd hope that you just keep chipping away and keep going up the league.
One of the players that you sort of came through with that year, and maybe he was like a bench player at the start, and then it eventually became like a player that would play every week, and now he's a Champions League winner and probably the best midfielder in England, in my opinion. But Jordan Henderson.
Never heard of him.
He's not bad, is he? He's done all right.
Great guy.
When he was young then, coming through, because I can't imagine you knew much about him when he came in, so you'll have seen him at first hand, raw and fresh.
Yeah.
Are you surprised by how successful he's been?
No, and I say this to everyone. I've been playing 16 years now, and you can tell the youngsters, even when you're a youngster yourself, that are gonna progress in football, and you can tell the ones that not going to do everything in their power to get there. Jordan was one of those that was, he was first at the training ground. He was last there. He'd never, like the season finished, he wouldn't go on holiday here, there and everywhere. He might have a 5 days rest, and then he'd what's the place called? There's a running track somewhere near where he lived. There's like an athletics club where he lived, and he used to go down there and just do laps like every other day. So obviously things like that people might not see like on a Saturday afternoon, but throughout the week and throughout the season, you see what he's done, and now he's, like you said, champion of Europe, captain of the best team in the league, and it might surprise a lot of people, but people that have seen him closely throughout his career, it was always going to happen kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. As it was with the season itself, much like Jordan Henderson at Sunderland, we kind of probably did better than we expected originally and had a fantastic start of the season. We beat Liverpool, beat Arsenal at home, both fantastic atmospheres, but the one that sticks out for me is Liverpool, because the beach ball. I think he came on for Kenwyne Jones at the 66th minute for that game, and one thing that really sticks out for me, yes, the beach ball, but Lorik Sana going to centre half, second half, and being an absolute monster.
What a man he!
I love him.
He had a bad knee or something like that. He had a bad knee. He was strapped to a couple of painkillers on a Saturday morning, and he was just headbutting walls. He could get sent off in a flash, but for the time that he was on the pitch, he was a proper leader of men, and it was a pleasure to have that type of character as your captain. When you're going into battle, you're up against the wall, and he was just there, slick his hair back and tackle someone.
He had him and Cattermole in the middle. He must have not worried too much about much getting past.
Yeah, and David Myler as well. A few lads there that loved the tackle. So yeah, it was it's like you'll have known, when someone flies in at the stadium, the whole stadium jumps up to celebrate, and there's many a time I can remember him tackling someone, and it was like we'd scored a goal. It was a lot of big tackles he used to do. It's good. Now I can't speak highly of him enough. Good guy.
Great guy. What are your memories of the beach ball moment? Because you would have been on the bench at the time. I think he came on second half.
Yeah, so the thing is with Benty, like everyone says, oh, he's lucky, he scores all these lucky goals. And until you're with him day to day, like we could be training, like I said, it could be Lorik could be smashing Cattermole. So there's a scramble at the side of the box. Bardley's in there, Myler's in there, I'm in there, Titus Bramble's flying in. We're all just having a scrap for the ball, and Benty could just be stood at the other side of the box, just waiting, just not getting involved. It'll ricochet off someone's knee, roll across the box, and he'll be there, and he'll just tap it in. Yeah. You know what I mean? That was his type of luck. But the more often you see it, it's not. It can't just be luck, because it can't happen that often. It's just, I don't know. He's got some sort of spell on football, and he could just be in the right place at the right time. He probably put that balloon behind the goal before the game.
Yeah, he was. And you know what? He was, as much as the relationship has soured with Sunderland and Darren Bent, that season, he was dynamite. Everything he touched turned to goal, didn't it?
Yeah, that was the thing. And when I played up front with him, he's much better goal scorer than I am. I could just concentrate on running around, doing the easy bit, tackling people, getting sweaty, and just, put my hopes on him getting half a chance, and he'd bag it and would win 1-0. So it was, it's always a bonus to have someone like that in your team that can, that can nick a goal in the dying seconds of a game or whatever.
On the flip side, and the people you were directly competing with, because I know you went onto the right wing eventually and then kind of came up front, but I think the first season you had Benty, who was pretty much irreplaceable. He was the best striker in the league, I think, at that point, in terms of chance ratio and goal scoring. But next to him was Kenwyne Jones, who I always say Kenwyne didn't have the career that, in my opinion, he should have had, because sometimes at Sunderland he literally was unplayable. And there's the famous John Terry quote. There's a lot said about Kenwyne and what he was like in the dressing room, and he was laid back and this, that, and the other. I think obviously those front three, yourself, Kenwyne and Darren Bent, obviously you seemed quite close. How was your relationship with Kenwyne, and what was he like, and how good was he?
He was brilliant. I spoke to him the other day. I had a text conversation with him the other day, just catching up on things. So it's, you know, it's like you said, we all were close off the field. So it didn't really feel like competition on the field. It was, you know, we're all in this together. We're all striving to make, you know, the team better. So it was a good dynamic we had. And, you know, obviously Kenwin was a different player to I was, a different player to Benny. So we're all strikers, obviously, but 3 different types of strikers. So, you know, it kind of worked. No one was ever spitting the dummy out and getting upset. It was, you know, like I said, just a great team spirit there. And, you know, wish that we'd have, you know, stuck together a bit longer and hopefully we'd have done better in the league as well.
Yeah. Golden days for me these days where we're at. But I think, you know, you've touched on it before, that there's players that you still keep in touch with. So who were you closest with at Sunderland?
Close with, obviously, Benty, Jordan, Myla, Bardo. But those were like who I was really close with. And the rest were close with, but I obviously don't speak to them as often as I speak to them 3 or 4 guys. But yeah, it was a tight-knit dressing room. Because there was a few young lads as well, younger lads. So we used to all go home and play Call of Duty or FIFA online, like 8 of us every day, and we'd go out for a meal or whatever. You know, it was proper togetherness, and I think that showed on the pitch. You know, when we played, when we had a chance to all play together.
I think, I can't remember who it was I spoke to now off the top of my head, but used to talk about Steed Malbranque, and he used to say he was a really, really quiet guy until he got 2 pints in him and he was just a changed person.
Yeah. He had a split personality. He had 2 pints, became bipolar. He was all over the place.
What a phenomenal player he was as well, though. Phenomenal player, Steed Malbranque.
Yeah, so calm and composed. But like technically, it was brilliant. He could have 3 men on him, and he wasn't lightning quick. I won't even say he was quick. He just knew how to manipulate the ball well and get out of sticky situations.
There was that situation, I think it was the Man City game, where he nutmegged James Milner, I think twice, was it?
Yeah.
Nutmegged him twice. And it's not a bad player, nutmeg, when you're looking back.
Nah, yeah.
But, the thing with Steed was, there was always that rumour that he'd be smoking like 40 a day, but apparently that's not true. Apparently he wasn't a Marlborough King fan, but apparently he used to smoke 40 a day.
I don't know about that.
Maybe just the way that he played.
I've seen him have 2 pints and then get a cigar, but no, not 40 a day. I don't know about that.
To be fair, he could have played with a pipe and slippers the way that he played sometimes, couldn't he? So it would have suited his luck, I'll give him that. As it was with Sunderland, one thing I find quite interesting is, you know, I think everyone knows we're a big club. Same with the whole of the North East, really, if we're completely honest. But I think it takes a lot of people by surprise when they actually join the club and they see how important it is. It's like literally life and death, like quite literally. Do you think players don't really understand the size of the club until they're inside of that bubble?
Yeah, I agree. Because when I first went up there, obviously, you know the history of Sunderland. You know, it's a big club. But then you go up there, driving through the city centre, and every other person's got a Sunderland shirt on. It could be raining, it could be it could be sunshine, just out there with a Sunderland shirt on. And if not shirt, maybe they've got a Sunderland jacket or something like that. So it's, like you said, it's life and death up there. They live and breathe the football. So it's, you know, it makes it, like for myself, it made it that more important to try, you know, do your best and put in that extra work, because it's, you know, working class club kind of thing, and you know, you want to give back a bit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, everyone's working hard up there to pay for season tickets or shirts or whatever. So it's, you know, you trying your best as you can to give the fans the money's worth. You know, sometimes it's not the case, but you know, you've got to go out there with the attempt to do that.
Did you find that in Sunderland as well? Because obviously you've been at a lot of big clubs since, and obviously you were probably the biggest club in Europe at the time, like we said previously. But do you find that, like in Sunderland, you get a lot more people coming up to you in the street and wanting to talk about just the game, not necessarily get a photo and stuff like that? That's the difference I tend to see when I speak to players.
Yeah. It's like it's their life, it's their day-to-day life. They would happily sit and chat to you, whether it be at the petrol station, the park, the post office. Just sit there and you could have a full-on conversation for an hour about the next week's game or the game that's been. And so it is really nice, you know, to to have the whole community invested in the football club, and it's nice to be part of, because it makes it not just your teammates that your extended family, because a lot of lads don't live in the areas that they play. So it's it's like the whole community that you're involved in, it makes it that much easier to be living away from home or wherever you're from. Do you know what I mean?
A lot of the time you'll find, I think there's players, and especially over the past few years, certain characters, and I won't mention any names, but they wilt under that pressure. And the players that have done really well elsewhere come to Sunderland and they just crumble because of that. Do you think you need to have a certain kind of character to succeed at Sunderland, or even if you don't fully succeed, to kind of take the pressure of Sunderland?
Yeah, I think you've got to be, like I said, you've got to be approachable. And if you're just like a bit standoffish or whatever, and people are coming up to you and you can't really hack it, then you can go under. But if you're humble with it and you just be, like I said, friendly, approachable people, because the people in the North East are the friendliest people that I've ever come across. So they're not going to go out the way to be horrible to you. Even the Newcastle fans would be out in Newcastle, and they'd have a little laugh and a joke, but it would never be anything like sinister kind of. Do you know what I mean? It was all lightheartedly, because everyone up there, like you said, just lives and breathes football. So it's you've got to be able to deal with that, and if you can't, you're struggling.
yeah, you definitely are 100%. As it was, you started getting into the team on a regular basis. First and foremost on the right-hand side. And then during pre-season, you had a really tremendous pre-season. I remember you scored 4 goals against Portugal. Kenwyne Jones was sold. I know Jan came in not long afterwards, but you actually started the season in front with Darren Bent, and it was seen as that the season where Frazier Campbell was going to make his mark, and this is where we're going to see the best of him. And then we play Man City.
And
just decides to go, doesn't it? And I remember I was at the game, and I remember instantly you could tell. But how did you feel when it first happened?
So when I first went down, it was painful, and then I was lying on the floor thinking, "Oh God, this hurts." But then I was thinking, "I'll just wait a couple of minutes and it'll ease off." Went to stand up, and my whole knee went backwards. I was thinking, "Oh, that's obviously not right." So then, because I've never really been injured before that. I'd had maybe a week here and there with tight hamstrings or stuff like that. So I've never really been injured before. So to have it in my mind that potentially I could be out for 7-8 months, it was just that's not going to happen. So then obviously when I found out, it was a killer, because like you said, I had a good summer. I worked hard on the off season. Came back pre-season, working really well, started scoring goals. The manager was giving me compliments and stuff in the press and stuff like that. So it was looking like it was going to be the start of a really good year for me. But then, like you said, get to the third game. I think it was the first game, Birmingham
2-2. Yeah.
Then off. So we had to play on the wing again, running around like headless chicken, and then. Was it the third? Did he get sent off twice?
Yeah, he got sent off in the first. I think. He came back from suspension and got sent off again at Wigan. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It was. It looked like it was a good start to the season. We had a bit of a blip with Cats, but then started against Man City, and then my knee just went. Disaster.
Do you know when? I mean, you would have been what, 21 then?
I'm at 22, I think. 23, yeah.
So you've been all through your career, no bother with injury, never had to have more than a couple of weeks out. No. When that happens to your knee, and you said, I know that's not right, do you immediately know that's going to be a 6 to 7 monther?
No, because at the time, it was it wasn't relatively new, but it was just something that I'd never heard of before, the ACL. Let's say the ACL now, and everyone knows, it's going to be 8 months or whatever out. Back then, I didn't really hear of anyone doing it too often, so it was just a shock to the system. And then obviously I did all my rehab, got to the 7th month, and funny enough, I was training on the Friday before I was playing Man City again, and then I did it again in the training session, but this time it just felt like a click. So then I got up and just walked in. I thought it's going to be all right. He said, how's it feel? Like, it doesn't feel too bad. So, I travelled down to Manchester. So travelled down to Manchester, went to sleep, woke up in the morning, and my knee was just huge again. I was thinking, oh, God, not this again. Because obviously, I knew, obviously, from learning a lot about the injury, I knew if you do it the second time, I think there was a 5% chance, I said, that you'll have a reoccurrence. And obviously I was in the unlucky 5%. And then it's going to be 9-12 months recovery rate for the second time. So then, yeah, that was when I was like, mentally, my head was completely gone, because I'd been through the last 7 months, and it's the first 3 or 4 months are deadly boring. Like, you're in a knee brace, you can't bend your leg. It hurts when you move in. You got to imagine trying to go into the toilet with one straight leg. It's horrendous. I'm having a shower, and I've got like basically a big condom on my leg to stop my leg getting wet in the shower. It was just day to day. It was just terrible.
Yeah.
And like, coming off the back of having such a good pre-season, it was super frustrating to do that and then again do it again. So it was just, mentally, it was tough. The second time was, probably one of the lowest I've ever been in my whole life.
Yeah.
Like, it was, dreadful.
Do you know, like with the club, I suppose, I'll come on to the fans in a minute, but the club, as you touched before, it is quite a dark moment in life, that it's kind of physically being stopped from, and we're seeing it right now with like a potential second lockdown, all that kind of stuff. You've seen what it was like when people they were locked in the house and they couldn't live their life. Unfortunately, sort of darkness kind of surrounded that. And as a footballer, if you're told you can't play football for 18 months because your knee's knackered, and you can have everything else with it as well.
Yeah.
You definitely need that kind of support. So how supportive were Sunderland's medical team and stuff like that?
Yeah, they were brilliant. Fair play to them. They obviously they recognised that it was tough for myself, but on the other hand as well, I had my family really close with my aunties and my uncles, my cousins, my brother, and stuff like that. So it was, people was always around at my house with me, so I wasn't like feeling like I was in Sunderland on my own. But yeah, they looked after me. They gave me time off. They let me go on holiday and things like that when I needed it. When or just changing up my schedule a bit, just so it's not like monotonous. Sir Alex Ferguson actually rang me and said, if you ever want to come down to Carrington in Manchester to, just to break it up a bit, you're more than welcome to, which I thought was a great little gesture. Didn't really need to do that, but yeah, there's like the support was excellent, and probably that's, I'd say, at least half the reason why I'm back playing football, like almost 10 years, still playing football 10 years later, because, it made me realise a little bit like lockdown makes you realise what you actually enjoy doing. You can't take certain things for granted, because at any moment it could just be gone. So you just got to enjoy what you're doing and do the best that you can with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think at that time as well, I could be wrong, that the timing might be off, but David Myler had the same injury, didn't he, as well?
Yeah, me and him with knee operation buddies. Used to go to cinema together, both straight legs out. It's a couple of injured lads just running about.
And the thing is, with Myler as well, I think that kind of affected him sort of later on, and he obviously retired last year, and I think a lot of that had to do with like the injuries that he unfortunately was picking up because of that. So I suppose it goes to show how well the medical team did that you're still playing championship football, a level above Sunderland, unfortunately for us, 10 years later. You know what I mean?
Nah, yeah, it can. Myler's injury, I think only one person's ever done that before. And all the signs around his injury was that it was going to be finished back then. And that was 10 years. It must have been about 23, 24, something like that.
Yeah, he's young.
It was a good 8 years ago or something like that. So he's done well to only retire a year ago.
Yeah, pretty much. Because it was, and I think he had another problem with it later on as well, didn't he? I think his knee kind of went again as well.
Yeah, he's had a few issues with his knees over the last few years, but it's a part of being old and a part of recovering from such a horrendous injury that he had, because he just destroyed every ligament going in his knee. which is normally unheard of.
Yeah. In terms of the period between, I think it was before you did it the second time, and I was there, and I remember this really, really well. And I think it's why you really well liked at Sunderland, and hopefully you remember it as well. But played Blackpool away from home.
Pleasure.
Yeah.
I've just got one of them faces that people recognise instantly, because I was thinking, I've got my hat down here, I've got my hood up. You can see this bit of my face, and they were just on me straight away. I was like, I've not even been pie yet. But yeah, it was good. Me and my dad and a few of my mates went down there, just like a little day trip, because they're the things you miss, when you're injured for so long. Just the match day, Saturday, going out there and just being like, when the games were at home, I was just sat up in a box, just watching the game on my own. It's a bit away from the noise because you can't really hear as much. It's a bit, you feel like you're just not really part of it. But then to go to an away game, and the Sunderland fans that go away are always a bit balmy, so I was right in the mix. It was a great afternoon.
Funny as well, because I remember this looking back. It was the game after Darren Bent had gone, and there was a big furore around it. And obviously, you're very close with Darren. And I remember specifically some lads trying to get you to join in with a chant about Darren Bent, and you were like, "No, I can't, mate. I can't. That's my pal." But I think people specifically remember. Someone messaged me today when I said we were doing this, and all they said was Blackpool away. All they said.
Good.
Do you think it's easy to get involved in that kind of thing with Sunderland fans? Or do you think, when you go into a struggling, tough time, that must have been one of the best moments of that, I would imagine, like feeling part of it, getting one of us?
Yeah, like I said, it was one of the highlights of the 18 months that I was on the sideline. I'm not really part of the team, but I'm part of the group still, because I'm there, the fans are there, they're all singing my name, even though I'm not playing, which is, that's a massive confidence boost, even, when you're not playing. It's just nice to know that people are still thinking of you, still, know that you're still there, you're not the forgotten man, because it's easy to just get forgotten about, when you're not being on the pitch for so long. So it was really good. I'm so happy that I went to that game. We won that game as well, didn't we, I think?
Rico scored twice. Yeah. Richardson twice. Yeah.
Yeah. Aaron scored twice. Yeah. Brilliant.
It was when they had that makeshift stand up they had to make. And I think when the second one went in, we all jumped up and down that much. You could feel the stand sort of shaking. It was like, oh shit, how long is this going to last? But one thing I wanted to touch on quickly, we touched on sort of Darren Bent before. I think a lot of people look at Darren's departure as sort of the beginning of Sunderland's downfall. And when he scored for Burton against us to basically relegate us to League One, it kind of felt like a full 360. But how big of an impact did Darren's sale have on the team?
It done so well over the years. That when you lose a player like that, it's gonna affect you a lot. But I think we signed Jean, didn't we, then? And he looked like he was going to be the real deal. He scored a few goals already. So it was, it's always sad, especially when, like I said, we're all so close in it, and he was one of my closest pals there. But it's football. You understand that people come and people go. It's just part of the game. It does affect the team because, like I said, he scored a bag full of goals, but it just opened a path for somebody else to try and score those goals.
Yeah, absolutely. With Darren going, there's so many rumours about Darren Bent and his departure. And the big one for me was that he had the chance to go to Turkey 6 months previous. He wanted a new contract, and you can chuck about 10 different rumours into that. My question to you would be, as someone who's quite close to Darren, did his departure surprise you? Or did you sort of see it coming in his body language that he wasn't 100% happy?
I didn't really see it coming. It's one of them things, you've got hot property, scoring goals. People are going to want to buy him, and it's always going to be rumour mill and stuff like that. And you didn't really think that anything would come of it. So it did take me a bit of back a little bit that, it was, he's gone to Aston Villa. I was like, wow, But like I said, it happens in football. You can think that somebody's there for life, and then next minute they're gone for whatever reason. So who knows why it happened? But yeah, it was like I said, it was tough for me because he was one of my closest friends there, but got my chance to take his shirt.
yeah, it did. That's very true, actually. Very true. Just going back to the injury before, we're touching the support you had as from professionals and the club itself, but you did strike up a really good relationship with the Sunderland fan base, and it's no surprise that people were quite happy when they seen that you're coming on the show today. But even now, like a decade after your departure, the relationship's still really solid. I think a lot of that came because of the injury that happened and the way that he came back from it. But if you could say like one thing to a Sunderland fan base about the support they showed you during your time, like what would it be?
I don't know, because they could say a million things. They helped me get back from a place where I wasn't even sure what to do it anymore, especially doing my knee the second time. If I didn't have the support of the fans, I set up a Twitter as well around the time I got injured again, and the messages and stuff that were coming through there were really, I can't thank people enough for the message that was getting through that, because it is you do feel very lonely. You're not part of it. You want to be part of it, and it's vitally important to hear that you're still part of the gang kind of thing. Especially from the people that it means the most to, which is the fans. I think during that time as well, I did a lot of community work, stuff like the Sunderland Foundation stuff. I did a lot of stuff for that, because it was important for me to still feel like part of the community and part of the team, or in as much way as possible, by getting out there and doing things in and around the town to try and help others. Even though I couldn't help the team on a Saturday, I could still do my bit in and around the city for the people of Sunderland.
Talking about the positive of the injury was the comeback. Another game that I was there for, and I'll be honest, I got rat-arsed after that day. Really hammered. But by the time he got fit again, actually Brucey had gone, and obviously Martin O'Neill had came in and arrived. And I remember there was rumours that Frazier Campbell could be on the bench, he could be fit, and then we played Borough as it was at home. I think he came on at half time for Conor Wickham. So everyone's like, "Oh, brilliant, he's back!" And it was just a nice moment to see you back in a game. But your first touch, you put it in the bottom corner. I think we all remember the celebration. But talk me through that moment for you and what was going on in your head at that time.
It was, like you said, I was delighted to just be involved in the game because it'd been such a long time. And then obviously brought me on at half time. Was even more delighted. And then to score, it just felt like there was a massive release of emotions, like leaving my body. It was a surreal moment, just running around. I think I nearly passed out, just shouting. And it was a good finish, but it wasn't like a worldie. It didn't deserve that celebration.
It was well placed, I'll give you that.
It was just the baggage that it had behind it, that extra bit, special. And it was, that was probably my favourite goal for Sunderland, on the back of all that rubbish that had gone on, to get back on there and to score a goal.
And it was nice because I remember the elation of it happening. I remember everyone kind of feeling almost what you felt at the same time, like around you, everyone just like, if anyone wanted it to drop to someone on the edge of the box and put in the bottom corner, everyone wanted that to be you. So kind of like we willed it in. And did you feel that kind of level of, you yourself, obviously you're celebrating it, but did you feel like everyone else kind of had the same level of like outburst, like thank God it was him?
Yeah, definitely. Like when I celebrated, I think the first person that came up to me was Bardo. So he was, and I could tell, he didn't really celebrate goals, but he was delighted for me, because they'd see me from day to day. They'd see me when I looked, a bit low or whatever, and how much it had affected me to be on the sidelines for so long. So to get back in the mix and get a goal, everyone, like I said before, the team was like closely knit, so they knew what it meant for me to be out there, and you could see that they were equally as happy for me to get that goal.
As someone who would probably be a direct beneficiary of the team spirit that was sort of fostered there, a lot of the time you look back, and hindsight's a wonderful thing, but you look at players like Bardsley and Cattermole and you think what they brought to the team themselves. Like, how much of a vital cog were the likes of Phil Bardsley and Lee Cattermole to the team spirit and how it worked?
Yeah, because Cats he's the same age as me, but he acted like he was 45. Do you know what I mean? He was an old boy. He had his shorts, really high, that old school geezer. But there was just that was a whole vibe around the whole place. Everyone worked hard, and didn't expect anyone else to work any less. And if you didn't, you'd get a rollicking. You know, everyone got experience, so they knew how they wanted to play. They knew how we needed to play. So it was like 8 different captains on the pitch at a time, and it makes it a lot easier, you know, when everyone's pulling together like that, and you've got experienced heads there that are barking out orders. It sets the tone, it sets the ethos of the club, really, to get everyone pulling in the right direction.
Talking about turnaround and fortunes, though, it wasn't just that goal that you scored against Middlesbrough. I think 3 days later, you scored an absolute worldly goal of the season. And then I think it was like a week or two later, you get a call up to the England squad. So what's it like going from like no football for months to like scoring goal of the season, scoring with your first touch, getting called up by England?
Yeah, it was a top 10 goals of the decade, that one, by the way.
It's an absolute beauty, mate. I was right behind it. It was a beauty, that one. Absolute beauty.
Yeah. My adrenaline was just carrying me through it. It was, you couldn't have written a better script to come back into football, to score on your first appearance, then a few days later, like I said, score a worldie in the Premier League, and then get a call up for England. And then my daughter was born as well on that day as well. So it's
as you were due to come on, I believe, is that right?
Yeah.
Like almost the same sort of time.
Yeah, and Sunderland's had to get a flight just after they played for England straight back up to Sunderland. So yeah, it was a whirlwind of emotions for about 4 weeks. And then when all that settles down, then I was just dead on my feet. I couldn't get up in the morning. I was just shattered. It was unbelievable, but it was a special, like I said, special period in my career. Like I said, I couldn't have written a better script to come back into football.
So obviously you're getting called up by England, and I think, you know, not only for yourself, I think fortunes of the club completely flipped when Martin O'Neill came in. It actually really felt like we'd wanted Martin for ages. We were winning. We weren't just winning games 1 or 2-0. We were scoring worldies. It was your goal. It was like Sessegnon in the same game was a phenomenal goal from your cross. Absolutely phenomenal. We went to Middlesbrough and won. Jack Colback scoring worldies. And I mean, if Jack Colback's scoring worldies, you know something's going right. You know what I mean? But although it seems like sort of a distant memory, one part I remember, we weren't used to winning derbies at this point. And I know that's like a distant memory because we haven't lost one in about 11 years or something. But we went to St James's Park during that unbelievable run that we had, and we put in a really, really solid performance that day. Yes, we only drew 1-1, but I remember in the first sort of 30 seconds, Lee Cattermole went and smashed into Tiote in the first sort of 30 seconds, took the yellow card. Was there a feeling in the dressing room that day that because we'd lost 5-1 the year previous, we weren't going to get bullied that day and we were going to come out with some sort of result?
Yeah, you go into that game and we ordered one. You know, it's the one game that everyone in the North East looks forward to. The first, when the fixtures come out, it's the first one you look for. When's that? When we're playing them at home, when we're playing them away. And to get beat in that fashion the year before, it was a bit of a, you know, you felt bad. It was a bit of an embarrassment. So then the next time you play them, you want to set it straight. You know, like you said, Cats flew in, smashed someone in the first 30 seconds. It just sets the tone. Lets them know that it's, you know, that happened last year. It's not going to happen this year.
My favourite part about Cats in that game was he smashed into someone in the first 30 seconds, and I'm sat in the away end, and we all admittedly thought there's no way Cats is going to last 90 minutes without getting a second booking. And he had the most professional, like, good game, like all of his tackles were controlled. And then it got to the 90th minute and Sessegnon had been sent off, and he went up to the referee and was like, fucking disgrace that, and started shouting at the referee. The referee sent him straight off. It's like he still got sent off, but after it was just like, oh, Cats, man. But what a guy. Everyone loves Cats at Sunderland. What a guy.
What a guy. Great having your team, but you can't.
Great fella.
No red.
That kind of upturn in performances really continued on, and I think it did for you as well. I remember you playing up front down at Borough when we were away, and we won the replay, and I think you played a few games up front, and then you switched it up a little bit with sort of Bentner, Sessegnon ever so slightly. But one game that seemed to really damage all of the good work that happened under O'Neill, and everything went as a downturn after that, was the FA Cup quarter-final replay defeat to Everton. Like, after that game, we sort of like limped to the end of the season and we really struggled for form, and it kind of went into the next season. How much of a toll did that defeat take on the entire squad?
I can't remember it. What was the score?
Got beat 2-0. David Vaughan's fell into his own goal.
Oh, yeah. Like you said, you feel like you building momentum throughout the year, and then it's strange. You get one game. Maybe we just overbelieved in ourselves a little bit, and we got a bit complacent or whatnot. But yeah, I can't even put my finger on it. Really, it's just one of those things.
Saying that, we went to City a few days later and drew 3-3. But then after that, we sort of fell off. We didn't fall off a cliff. We just kind of limped along, and there was like a melee. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know. Just one of those things, I think.
Just something like that, mate, innit? The following summer, obviously Martin O'Neill, I think everyone kind of went, here we go, like, good manager, his own summer, he's going to bring players in, he's done this at Celtic, that at Villa. He brought in Stephen Fletcher on big money, obviously he brought in Adam Johnson on big money, but he also added like Louis Saha as well to the team. And he actually made 15 appearances that season, but 14 of them were from the bench and only one of them was starting. Did Martin O'Neill, was he quite honest with you that he didn't have a future?
Well, he was with me and Martin. He came in, and then I was playing. I came back from injury, playing, doing really well. Like I said, scored some couple of goals, got called up for England, and it was the talk was, we need to get your agent in, get you a new deal, because the season after was my last season. Get a new deal sorted, and then it just like a month later, complete opposite. It was just like, well, wasn't playing, was on the bench, sometimes was in the stand. So then towards the end of the season, wasn't really playing. Started the new season, thought it's a fresh start. Didn't really play that much from the start of the season till January, and I ended up leaving. So it was, for me, it started off great, and then it just went really flat and nothing. I didn't play as regularly as I'd have liked, for whatever reason. But yeah, it just didn't work out for me under Martin O'Neill.
How did your relationship how did Martin O'Neill differ to Brucey? Because I think Brucey seemed quite hands-on, whereas Martin O'Neill was probably the opposite from what I've been told.
Yeah, I didn't know how to take Martin O'Neill at all. Like, you never knew what he was thinking. Sometimes he'd say something just to get a reaction out of you, or sometimes he'd just be completely silent. Like, you'd just be sat there having a laugh and a drink with the lads or whatever at the canteen, and he'd come sit down in the middle as if he was going to say something, but then end up saying absolutely nothing and then getting up and leaving. So it was all a bit mind games. And like you said, from going from a manager that tells you that you're doing well or you're doing rubbish, to then going to that, it was complete. Yeah. So for me, it wasn't ideal for me.
Yeah. As it was, like you said, you left for Cardiff in 2013, but since you've left, and I don't know if this is just Sunderland rumour mill, but you've been linked to the club quite a few times, sort of sporadically. Has any previous manager tried to bring you back?
No, not one. Not one manager. It's just, I don't know. Because obviously I enjoyed my time up there and I've played there. It must just make sense for him to just write, well, Fraser's free, or Fraser's coming to the end of his contract, maybe he's coming up. But I've never been approached by Sunderland since I've left there to come back.
Well, there's still time, I suppose. Which is kind of... I was going to say, final question. I felt bad writing this because I'm 34, so I'm thinking, bloody hell. But you're 33, which is, in footballers' terms, especially when you're playing regular championship football, there's years left in you yet. But I know these days footballers can start looking at the future and start doing their coaching badges maybe before they're even 30. So what are your plans for the future? Do you see yourself as kind of like the next pundit? Do you see yourself as a coach, or are you kind of still deciding?
I'm still deciding, and I know I don't know for a fact, but I'm going away from the option of being a coach and things like that. It's not really who I am. I don't really like that side of football. I like the match days and I like the change room banter, but I don't like going out 7:30 in the morning to put cones out to get kids shouting at me that the session's crap, because that's all I used to do. The guy that's sitting out sessions just used to batter him. Even if it was the best session that I'd done, I'm still letting him know that I thought it was rubbish, just to keep him on his toes. So, yeah, I don't fancy that. I think I will do something involved with football, but not like cone setting out.
Yeah. Final question, which I've started quite liking asking, but most underrated player from your time at Sunderland?
Well, the easy one was to say Jordan, because a lot of people don't think he's any good, but the way he's progressed and the way his career's turned out, you'd be an idiot to think that he was a rubbish player.
Yes.
But I don't know, most underrated. I don't know.
I got David Vaughan once.
Yeah, David Vaughan, he was quite assassin, didn't really say much, but on his day his technically was brilliant. Yeah, really good player. But yeah, I think most players that were appreciated. I don't think anyone was, not really appreciated, but they're really good. Like you said, Vaughan, he was probably one of them. Just trying to think. I'm racking my brains here.
I think it's something we value players quite a bit. If they're good, we can kind of see. Very rarely would you get someone underrated, but David Vaughan would have been my choice.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Awesome. Fraser, thanks very much, mate. Good to catch up.
Yeah. No, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely not a problem. Maybe see you in the future. Who knows? It's back in red and white. You never know.
Well, there's a window coming up soon, isn't there? So.
Yeah, there is, mate. God knows how long we'll be playing football now. But geez, yeah, you're absolutely right. 100%.